Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about a big win for game preservation, and it's all thanks to GOG. So here is the official announcement. With the celebrations of GOG's 16th anniversary, we are thrilled to announce our new initiative. We're launching the GOG Preservation Program, an official stamp on classic games that GOG has improved, with a commitment of our own resources to ensure their compatibility with modern systems and make them as enjoyable to play as possible. This initiative was created to make games live forever, and once again bring the utmost attention to what the center of our work has been for the last 16 years, video game preservation. We begin with the re-release of 100 classic games from our catalog with updated, improved, or quality-tested builds, including masterpieces like Heroes of Might and Magic 3, Resident Evil, and Diablo Hellfire. For those who may be unaware, GOG stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Good Old Game, depending on how you want to interpret that. Anyways, here there's currently 100 games in this program. They're all DRM free, and this program is only going to grow from here. I am extremely excited about this one. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Now, for those wondering, yes, you can install GOG on the Steam Deck. Yes, you can play GOG games on the Steam Deck. And if we take a look here right now at these preserved games, we can see that they're on significant discounts. For example, The Witcher 2 is 85% off. And speaking about the Steam Deck, next up we're talking about the Steam Deck, and this is more of just a friendly heads up if you play Rocket League. So last night I went to boot up Rocket League, and this is my picture here, this is my Steam Deck, and well, that's me trying to play Rocket League. And when I booted it up, it said that Rocket League was no longer supported on Mac and Linux via Steam OS. And I was very surprised about this one because I was pretty sure I played this game just a few weeks ago. So I headed over to the Epic Games website, and it says here, the Mac OS and Linux Steam OS versions are no longer updated or supported. You will still be able to download and install these versions, but some features will not function as expected. And I was wondering about this one and very curious here because I'm pretty sure I played the game just a few weeks back and it was working absolutely fine. Anyways, the game would boot up, but I couldn't go online. And then someone said, just make sure you're playing on Proton Experimental. Now, I'm not going to lie here. I kind of felt a little bit dumb. I already thought I was using Proton Experimental for it, but it turns out I wasn't. And I don't know what happened here, if there was an update or something and maybe the game just reset from using Proton Experimental, but at the same time, if you're trying to play Rocket League on the Steam Deck and wanted to play it online, just make sure you're using Proton Experimental. For most games, I recommend using Proton Experimental if they're not compatible with Linux natively. And speaking about Epic, next up here, if you're a fan of the original Unreal Tournament, you may be a fan of this news. So back in 2022, Epic announced that they were delisting Unreal Tournament and Unreal Gold. And it turns out here that Epic has given the old Unreal folks permission to host the installers. Now, to be honest with you, I'm still a little bit skeptical over the authenticity of that message. I'm very surprised that Epic would just allow a website to host Unreal Tournament and Unreal Gold without any issue. But it turns out it may be more truth than lie. I don't know here, we'll have to wait and see, but there are a number of websites reporting that it's real. So if this is real, then this is a massive win for game preservation, and huge hat tip goes out to old Unreal for making this happen. I'm taking a look at the website and the full game installers are already available there. So we've got the Game of the Year version of Unreal Tournament and Unreal Gold ready to go. And taking a look as well on the website, everything else seems to be functioning absolutely fine. So let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. For those who may be unaware, the old Unreal folks are behind the Unreal Tournament patches to get them running on modern systems. And speaking about modern systems, next up here we're talking about Windows 11 and ARM. And it turns out that Microsoft has just released the ISO for Windows 11 ARM. If you have an ARM PC and wanted to see if you can get Windows 11 up and running on it, if it's not already up and running on it, then you can definitely check out the ISO, or if you're looking at creating virtual machines. Now, we all knew that this public release was coming sooner or later from Microsoft, and well, I'm glad it's here. With the increase in popularity in ARM PCs, it's nice to have different options. I mean, in my opinion here, ARM is still pretty early on in terms of overall compatibility and adoption, and I'm very curious to see what happens moving forward, if ARM is going to gain traction, or if x86-64 is going to continue to hold on, or if we shift to something completely different like RISC-V. Next up, we're talking about Game Boy and Game Boy Color emulation with ChillyGB, and ChillyGB just got a brand new update. Now, if you're not familiar with ChillyGB, I don't blame you. This emulator is still fairly new to the scene. The first release was back in August. Anyways, they're at version 0.3.0, and they say here that the save states made before this version will not work. As for the new features, they've added full pocket camera support on Windows and Linux, cheat codes, MBC7 support, non-CGB mode support, basic serial emulation, boot ROM file chooser, and GBC color correction. ChillyGB is 100% free. It's open source. It's available for Linux and Windows, and that appears to be a Nintendo Switch executable file. And speaking about files, next up here we're talking about Steam and SteamDB. And if you're used to using SteamDB to check out change lists for different games here, you might be disappointed to know that Steam is starting to enable private branches. And this basically hides a whole bunch of stuff from discovery. So if you use SteamDB to take a look at the change list here, I think you may be impacted, and I guess we're going to have to wait and see moving forward, but I'm assuming that we're probably going to see a whole lot less leaks and information dropping a little bit early because it showed up on a change list. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. And speaking about change logs and I guess patch notes, next up here we're talking about Call of Duty Black Ops 6. And if you're excited about this game and you hate AFK players, well, you might like these patch notes. Now, this changelog is pretty detailed, so like everything I talk about, link will be in the description below right at the bottom, and feel free to check it out. There's quite a bit in here. There's new multiplayer maps, new multiplayer modes, new multiplayer perks, new attachments, and a whole bunch of other stuff. For the anti-cheat in specific, there's some very interesting things here that I'm very curious on how they're going to play out in the real world. They say enhanced AFK detections to battle against account boosting, and adjusting ping thresholds to require players play matches in their region to cut down on VPN abuse. To unlock ranked play in Black Ops 6, players will need to win 50 match-made multiplayer matches. Let me know your thoughts about that one. My guess here, and I could be wrong, but I'm assuming that people who use AFK to boost are probably just going to find a more sophisticated way to do it moving forward. Again, I could be wrong here, and this may just weed out the people who are blatantly doing it. Next up, we're talking about Pokemon TCG Pocket, and Pokemon TCG Pocket has been exploding in popularity, and the developers have a brand new letter to the community. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole letter, but there are a couple of things I wanted to point out that are taking place towards the end of the year and to start the new year. They say they plan to add new booster packs by the end of the year. And in addition here, they're aiming to add a new feature that allows certain cards to be traded starting in January. And they're planning to gradually expand that selection of cards that are able to be traded, so not every single card can be traded starting next year. And they've got other new features that are currently in development that they haven't announced yet. Next up here, we're talking about Infinity Nikki. Now, a lot of people seem to be very excited about this game. This game seems to be very popular and, well, it looks very interesting. The overworld looks amazing. The gameplay looks pretty interesting, and I think some of the nuances of the game, well, I don't know if I'm going to be a fan of this one or not here, but at the same time, a lot of people seem to be gearing up for it. Anyways, the person behind this game has worked on stuff like The Wind Waker, also Twilight Princess, A Link Between Worlds, and I think Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Anyways, here, this game now has a release date, December 5th. Infinity Nikki is headed to PS5, PC, and also mobile via Android and iOS. If you're interested in this game, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm hoping it's not going to be one of those free-to-play and pay-to-win kind of games, but I think that's the way it might be going here. Anyways, I'm very curious to see everyone's opinion on this game and the fact that it's releasing pretty darn soon. And speaking about free-to-play and pay-to-win and all of that stuff, next up we're talking about Xbox. And it turns out that Phil Spencer in a recent interview says he dislikes manipulative expansions basically selling Chapter 1 of a game and Chapter 2 and 3 being paid expansions kind of thing. He does say he does support DLCs that offer additional content to possibly re-engage people. But at the same time here, I like this approach from Phil Spencer. I do not like purchasing part of a game. Now, I don't know about you, and this may reveal my age a little bit, but at the same time here, I've got some white in my beard, so I think that does enough on its own. I came from an era where an entire game was on a cartridge. I didn't have to worry about DLC or day one patches or really anything like that. I do see the value of DLC. I don't see the value of purchasing a part of a game and then having parts 2, 3, 4, or whatever be DLC moving forward. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I'm glad that Phil Spencer, I think, shares the same sentiments here, but I could be wrong. Additionally, it appears that Microsoft still plans on buying game companies, and I'm very curious to see what they buy moving forward. Let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about an indie game, Old School Rally. This game is currently in early access. It's got a very positive review score on Steam with over 700 reviews. It was released in July here, and it just got a brand new update to add a brand new feature. Now, this is currently for local co-op only. I don't know if it's going to ever be online, but they have added in a split screen mode. On top of that, there's 4 new stages, 5 new music tracks, new cars and rallies, new weather, and even more. This is a real big update for a game that's currently in early access. If you play Old School Rally, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about PlayStation New Zealand, and we're going to have to wait a little bit to figure out what exactly is going on here. Well, just a few more days. They teased this, and no other PlayStation account did. They say something striking is coming on November 24th. If you know what this is, let me know in the comments below. If you want to guess what this is, let me know in the comments below. And speaking about PlayStation, I don't know the truth to this one or not, but this one seems pretty crazy. This person's name is Hakoom, and they are a PlayStation trophy hunter. They've been doing this for something like 17 years. Well, it turns out Hakoom's PlayStation account was banned, and for a very crazy reason. So here is the summary of the 22-minute video. The video is not in English. This is Hakoom in the video. He has the biggest PlayStation account ever with the most trophies. Hakoom has announced that he will not cover PlayStation moving forward. The reason why is a PlayStation employee had him banned and sold his info online for no reason. Now, there seem to be a lot of people voicing their displeasure about the entire situation online. For example, here's one of those posts. Now, I will say this is only one side of the story. I don't know the truth to it at all, and that's why I want to be careful with what we're saying here. But here's what this person says. Quick TLDR. This person is a trophy hunter, and their account just got stolen because a Sony employee got bribed. Absolute effing clown company, and they still have the gall to charge you for online multiplayer. So this is just some of what we're seeing online here. I am very curious to see if PlayStation will have an official response to this one, given the fact that this guy was probably the biggest player out there. He had something like 7,000 plus platinum trophies. Anyways, let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I'll be paying attention to it to see if Sony issues an official statement or just brushes this one under the rug. And last up here, we're talking about Old Towers, which is a brand new NES game over on itch.io for a name your own price. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is a port of Old Towers that was released on the Genesis back in 2019, I think. So this isn't necessarily a new game. It's new to the NES, but not new in general. If you've played this one before, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below, and let me know your thoughts about how it looks on the NES. In my opinion, it looks very good for an NES game. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and the legendary one fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your state.